Alright, this video shows my first playthroughs with my controller of a first-person shooter type game. I have played other games with it before, third-person and top-down ARPGs, and actually have quite a numerous amount of hours with those type of games, over 80. However, I haven't played this type of game with it yet.
Gideon's beacon.
Took me probably about 4 hours to get used to playing the third person type of games with it, but when I jumped into the first person shooter, it was about a half hour, seeing as how I was already used to the controls. And I like to call this the 20-button mouse syndrome, where in the massive multiplayer online games, it used to be you'd get a spell every 1 hour, and then 2 hours, and then at 3 to 5 hours. And nowadays, since people are more used to the controls, you get it in like 10 minutes, 15, 30, and then an hour. So the ramp up of the amount of skills and buttons you use has drastically changed. I will say something in the first person shooter that I didn't experience in the ARPGs or the third person is around hour 3 I'll get a hand cramp. It's a lot easier to squeeze and clamp down on the controller than it in a first-person shooter game than it is in the others, especially during intense firefights. But after a while, you do get used to relaxing your hand, and a week later of playing a first-person shooter type, I've been playing 4 hours a day without every day without any hand cramps. So it is something that will have to be learned, just like a 20-button mouse. So something that these controllers do provide that isn't in this video is if you dual weld 2 of them, it will create new game types, such as being able to dual weld 2 different guns at the same time. Or since you got the 2 index fingers, you can move the cursor on the screen and pick 2 different points, so you can pick the direction of a sword cut rather than it being locked down to the center of your screen where the character is looking. You can actually find other YouTube videos of early prototypes of that I created. Alright, and look at this. So really nice features that you can eat food while you play because it leaves one hand free. Speaking about having a free hand, if you notice, the character is holding a gun in his right hand, and in my left hand you can see me holding the controller while this drone is walking by that we have to protect. So, you know, once more of these controllers are out, people will be able to use a drone with one hand and have their other hand free for anything else, really. These controllers are being set up in mind for games. However, we are also looking at the drone capabilities as well. So instead of creating the drone controls to be based off the game controls, we're going to be creating the game controls for the drones instead. It's kind of like how when most people pick up a first-person shooter, they understand you move with the left thumb and look around with the right. Every single first person I've ever played has always been set up that way. So our controls would be set up. People don't have much of a learning curve of the new control scheme. So in that, we move the characters around with the index finger. You can pull in to move forward, or if you push down, it will do the opposite and move the character back. But if you go up on the index stick, it is actually kind of like the shift on a car, where now it will reverse it. So then when you pull in, your character will back up, or if you push down, your character will move forward. A lot of controls like that, you know, rather than moving with the thumbstick and then aiming with the index. It is easier to look around with the thumb and move with the index. There's more dexterity as well on the
Scanning
controls that way.
Overseer Metellus Ironheart identified. Transferring position.
Mission briefing updated. Failure is not an option.
Another thing to note as well is since no current generation game is made for these controllers, you kind of do have to pick your games for the control itself. So one of the things is when you pull the index in, it presses the W key, but if you pull it in a lot, it'll trigger the shift plus the W key for running. But some things like hold down the control, the shift, and the W key along with alt to do stuff you can do on the keyboard, it isn't really possible. You're kind of limited to 2 to 3 buttons at the same time, as well as toggles to switch the different buttons. Alright, here's me during the early hours of playing the first-person shooter. If you'd like to hear more about the controller, I do invite you to visit our website, shieldtechnologyhouses.com. Please, share it with your friends. We are trying to build a following for our Kickstarter. You can sign up to be on a mailing list about the upcoming Kickstarter, info@shield-th.com, or you can send us an email at contact@shieldtechnologyhouses.com as well. I plan to have 3 phases for the controller. First, it's going to be one-handed controls with current generation games. Then we're going to create new game types for a future generation of games. And then after that, we will be looking for use on drones for it as well. So 3 different things our controller can do. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, share it with your friends. Thank you.